Welcome to Gen X TrustFall, the podcast dedicated to planned and unplanned midlife changes and the ability to trust in the unknown. I'm Carla Loomis. This week's episode features Mario Guerra, activist, healing circle leader, college student, recovering addict, and formerly incarcerated gang member. Mario grew up only 40 miles away from where I did, but the reality of our situations was worlds away. His honesty, sense of humor, and most importantly, his ability to adapt to changing situations makes him one of my most memorable interviews to date. This episode contains descriptions of drug and alcohol abuse, physical abuse, and violence. Please take care while listening.
Okay.
So, hello. Welcome, Mario. I so appreciate you doing this again because we really had a great conversation the first time and for some reason the recording got messed up. So I appreciate your patience with me and your willingness to come back.
No problem.
All right.
It's a pleasure. My name is Mario Guerra. I'm 53 years old. I met Carla at a job career fair at the Morgan Hill Adult Ed about a month ago. She approached me and asked me, first she asked me how old I was. So I was just like, okay.
Hey, what a rude lady.
And I was like, okay, 53. She's like, oh, would you be interested in doing a podcast? So I guess the age had to do with the podcast title, which is Gen X.
Yes.
And I was born during those years.
Yes.
So that made me a prime candidate for this podcast. So I was like, yeah, cool. So we touched base, back and forth text messaging. We attempted to do it, but because of technical difficulties, it didn't work. But it was cool. You know, I was willing to do it again because from this branched off, who knows, it might be another project in the making. Like it's being thought of right now. And so now we're going to try to create something from this. So like for one thing, it always leads to another. And that's what I'm always open for. It's like one door closes, another door opens, and then that door opens. And then next thing you know, you got a couple of doors opening. So for me, it's a win-win all the way around.
Awesome. I love that. I love your attitude about being open to things.
Yeah. So that's like the whole point of this whole later on in life experience that I've been going through is just like, I've had minor setbacks in life, but there was times when opportunity opened it to me before.
Yeah.
But to be where I'm at now, I think everything that's lining up makes more sense to me now. And maybe it's because I'm older now that I'm able to adjust to what's happening around me and accepting it for what it is and then just moving forward.
I love that.
Which is kind of cool that the other one didn't work out because since then, I got more things added on to what's going on in life. So it's cool.
Well, can you start your childhood story? I think your childhood is really important to talk about in terms of where you've ended up now. So do you want to talk a little bit about your childhood?
Yes. I was a single child. My mom and dad, they both had me very young. My mom was 16. My dad was 17. My dad was very strict, very abusive to me and my mom. And all throughout my childhood, it was very abusive. My mom got tired of it. Finally, I think I was around 9 years old, and she finally left my dad. And then so I became being raised by a single mom. My dad, I would see him from time to time throughout the years, but he went on and made a new family with my stepmom, and I got a couple stepbrothers, a stepsister, and I got a half sister out of it. And we've always remained in each other's lives for the most part. My dad, he passed away in 2017 behind diabetes, and then my mom passed away in 2021 to two brain aneurysms. I think a lot of it had to do with the lifestyle. My mom, she was unhoused. She was in a shelter, and it was kind of like by choice. Like once my grandfather died, it seemed like he was the rock of the family, and the family couldn't maintain for some reason. Like it was like weird. Like some of my aunt and uncles, they had their stuff together, but then my mom and my other aunt, their lives just went downhill. Like a lot of illnesses played factors in my mom's side of the family, which cut their lifespan short, And so between that, just being raised single parent, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I'd be running the streets, smoking PCP at the age of 12,
Oh.
drinking, smoking weed. Back then it was cocaine. And like you would think like, man, where are the parents at? Well, man, honestly, I was drinking with my mom, drinking with my dad, smoking weed with my dad,
Oh
doing
gosh.
coke with my mom. The only thing they both couldn't stand was PCP. They couldn't stand that I would be on that. So that was the one drug I was doing by myself or with my friends. During school, not a problem. It was after school was my problem. Because, running with the fellas, the gangs. I was already hooked up in the gang of my neighborhood, which is Vadio Horseshoe. And that's a neighborhood gang on the west side of San Jose. I was a third generation of that gang. So like all my uncles, my aunts, my dad's side, they were kind of like with it. My dad was a biker, so he was like the biker side of the neighborhood. So I grew up around cholos and bikers almost all my life. Even to this day, it had a major role in my lifespan with the connections I made throughout my life, good and bad. I always had a strong presence with the MC and the lowrider community, with the gangs too. I left on good standing, and I'll go into a little bit on that note. And I was able to walk away. I never had to drop out because I never joined, but I was a strong believer of what we believed in. So yeah, just growing up, juvenile hall, B5, went through all the units in juvenile hall, went to all three boys ranches. I never made it to YA because I took an option and I went to adult. So I went to Elmwood on my 18th birthday. Holden Ranch, I escaped. I got caught like 2 weeks later. We stole a car. We hit it back of a U-Haul truck. I got out. They set up a perimeter, three perimeters. It took them 2 hours to catch me and an hour to catch my Cody.
Oh
So
my
there
gosh.
I go. I go back to the boys' ranch and I get transferred next door to James Ranch. I get out of there. Later on, I end up getting caught up again. I go to the Muriel Rice Center Ranch, which was a co-ed drug rehab ranch back then. And then I get caught up on the dirty bottle again. My mom reports me, so I end up going to Elmwood for my 18th birthday for my probation officer. So I go to Elmwood. There I am, 18. I see all the barbed wire fence. I'm like, dang, this is big time now.
And how are you feeling? Are you feeling like you accomplished something? Are you feeling scared? Are you feeling,
I was just tripping on all the barbed wire because I saw there was a lot of barbed wire, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy.
yeah,
Then when I get in there, it was a horseshoe reunion. All the OGs from my neighborhood were there. All my homeboys I knew that I grew up with throughout the juvenile hall and boys ranch. Everybody's there. It was like a big old reunion. So I was just like, wow, man, it's cool. So I got accepted, right there with open arms. I got welcome. I went a couple of times to the Elmwood. There was a wrecking crew. It was like 25 youngsters. We're all 18, 19, 20, maybe one or two 21-year-olds, and they utilized us to be a force to be reckoned with, and that's all we did. We just, man, we caused a lot of people harm in there.
so inside the facility, it's its own community and its own structure. Is that kind of what you're telling me?
Yeah, so like back then in the 90s, the jail, like there was a lot of homeboys that were tipped up, but it was like a secret society, right? Nobody really knew who they were except them. And me being young, I had a lot of ink on me. I had a lot of gang ink that I thought meant something, but then I find out it meant more, right? Later on. So being naive and being young, not knowing really what I had on me, but I was still willing to put it down. So that was kind of like an acceptance. And then me growing up in my neighborhood, being surrounded by older gentlemen, so I carried myself at a mature
Yeah,
than what I was. Like a lot of the OGs that were there, they're like, man, bro, we're like, they were hearing like a bunch of youngsters coming. They're like, oh man, here we go. All these youngsters, headaches, right? But
yeah.
they go, you know what, Mario, you're like different, man. You're like somebody my age. Like we sometimes trip out how you talk to us, and we're like, wow, man, this dude's like, he's different. He ain't like an average youngster. So that always went in my favor.
Okay.
From there, I knew eventually I was going to go to prison. So from the Elmwood, went to the old jail, went to the new jail, back to the farm, and then finally there I am going to prison. So I was like 19 going on 20. I went to Corcoran Prison, which is a level 3 in Corcoran, California. When I spent my 21st birthday there, there was only about maybe 10 of us, 10 Northerners there when I first got there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I left, there was about 25 of us there.
What year was that when you
That
were?
was in 93,
Okay.
1993.
Okay.
There was about maybe 200 Southerners and about maybe 25 of us Northerners. Believe it or not, that is considered even because we don't operate in numbers. We operate in heart. Like we just know that it's always going to take heart to do what we got to do, spill, shed blood, whatever we got to do to keep our line safe for the other homeboy to get there and to be like an establishment there for them to get there safely. And if we have to kick it off, we kick it off. You know what I mean? We just do what we got to do to survive. You know.
So you're making sure that other people from your neighborhood that are coming in are going to be at least physically safe? Is that?
Yeah, it's pretty much
Okay.
anybody from Northern California.
Okay.
So, yeah, anybody from Northern California is pretty much it. Now, back then it was stricter, so we knew who was who, what was what, and if you weren't cut out to fit in, then you got to go. Back then we had to survive and we had to look out for each other. And there was no room for weakness.
And so what does that mean you got to go?
Like you get removed, they sock you up or they hit you, they stab you to get you off the yard.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
there's no
Okay.
room for weakness. So
Okay.
yeah, like being my first time there, I seen a lot of bloodshed. I seen guys getting stabbed. I seen guys getting shish kebab with a piece to their neck. And you would think like, man, that's crazy. To me, it was just like, hey, better them than me. And it's crazy to think like that, but that's just the way it was, you know?
And these were guys that were from your same neighborhood, but they were a weak link?
Well, there's like all different cities. Like so you figured Bakersfield on up is considered north. Bakersfield is the center part of California. So we have a lot of homeboys from the little Central Valley area. But then yeah, the Fresno Bulldog was an off branch that broke off from everybody. So even then, like they were still allowed to be on the same yard with us. Not until years later, like we had to start removing them as soon as we come into contact with them. And even to this day, anybody from Fresno that hits the yard and there's other homeboys there, they just get off with them and remove them off the yard or vice versa. Yeah, so from 93, I get out. I come back to the neighborhood. It's a war zone with the north and south because a lot of Southsiders are moving into my neighborhood. But sadly, there's a lot of set tripping between my hood and their hood, and this is just a generational curse that always made its way into the neighborhood thing. And so when you go to prison, right, when you're in a neighborhood, like you're set tripping with each other, and you don't know no better. But when you go to prison and your eyes have been opened, and you see that there's a bigger picture, like the Norte, we're all one people, and then for you to get out and go back to your neighborhood and pick up where you left off and continue to set trip and do all that, then you're like considered poisoning. You're poisoning the generations after you because it's our job once our eyes have been open to let them know that hey, all this set tripping, all this homeboy favoritism, it's not allowed. You know, you're not
Mm.
supposed to do this. So it's our job to try to enlighten these young homeboys, like, because everybody's gonna go to prison eventually. It's only a matter of time. But it's better that if at least to prepare them for where they're going. This way they can kind of like be aware of what's happening, what's expected of them. And a lot of people get scared. They think right away they're trying to recruit them into a prison gang. That's not always the point. You just gotta, you know, be aware of your surroundings and know what you're getting into and know what's expected of you to do your part like everybody else. And then we all come together like one machine.
So when you said everybody's going to go to prison, that was your belief growing up. And for most of the neighborhood, the guys that you hung out with, that was their belief as well. So for me, I grew up, my dad was like, you're going to college. There was no debate. I was going to college. And that was the expectation, and I followed through. And so am I getting that right? That was the expectation for you and you followed through?
Yeah, like if see, because there's like a lot of guys in my neighborhood that were from the neighborhood, but they never partook as a gang.
Okay.
Like they were school kids, you know, they're all in the school. Their parents were stricter, like they didn't let them associate with us too much, or they took the sports, you know, like the jocks thing. for the most part, there's a lot of people like that, that are from my neighborhood, but they didn't ever represented the neighborhood.
Right.
Like
Okay.
we represented because we're the gang part of the neighborhood. Like we enforced the rules. We just put work in. So it was different. Like I even have my hood tattooed on me. Like a lot of us have our hoods tattooed on us.
And so did you still have a respect for those kids that didn't go that route?
I never frowned upon them because like you have to be with it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't. There's a lot of guys that fell off along the way. They end up snitching on the homeboys for different things. A lot of homeboys went in. Like a lot of us that gangbang for the hood, almost I say 95% of us have went to prison or YA or something.
Okay.
Like we've all been in there. And then for the most part, out of all the 95% that I can tell you that came through from my neighborhood,
Mhm.
maybe like 5 to 10% are considered still good. All the rest dropped out or they just got out of the game. A very small fraction successfully got out of the gang. Like they're business owners, they're working cool jobs. They did their part and they got out, and that's it. I mean, I can honestly say that while they were active in the gang, they were ones to recognize. They were ones that seriously put work in. Their names are like known, but they got out. They dropped out, they got out, they become successful businessmen. A lot of them are family men now.
Yeah.
Their grandfathers. Um, you know, you can't do it forever,
Yeah.
even though some do because they're doing life and they have no choice. But for the most part, I mean, there's no retirement plan as a gang member,
Right. Right.
or you
Right.
got a 401k plan stashed. There's
No.
no such thing.
No.
Some some
No.
some get in it, they buy a house, buy a car, and they get out, and those are small fraction of a story that I know people that have done that. But for the most part, anything that they may have had at one time attained from the life, they got nothing to show for it now.
Okay.
It's gone. You know.
Okay. So I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but I feel like some of my listeners don't understand. Even I don't really understand it. So I just want to make sure that I can understand because, technically you're 18, 19, 20. In my eyes, you're a baby still. Like thinking about 19-year-old Mario, you sent me a picture. I don't know how old you are, but you're young in that picture and you're a baby. And I think about my own kids having this experience and my heart breaks for you to see your young face and think about what you're experiencing in prison at such a young age. It's heartbreaking. So to me, I just want to make sure I'm putting this in reference of how young you really were going through this.
Yeah. Like I look back and it's just crazy. Man, I don't even know how I made it this far, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
'cause there's some times where I was like I took some serious risk in life and like I didn't learn how to drive a car till I was like 24, 25 years old. I learned at work. I learned from the forklift. But I look back, like I'm kind of glad I know how to drive a car back when I was younger, because I probably would have got caught up for a drive-by or
Right.
or DUI, killed somebody or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of glad I didn't learn how to drive back then because ain't no telling what
Yeah.
direction my life would have went.
So in your 20s, did you spend a lot of your 20s locked up?
Yeah. So for like the most part, like from 18 to 23, I think 23 was my last time I was down in prison. I got out. That time I was in Mule Creek, which was right before it went all bad. And so I caught an indeterminate shoot term there. There was a lot of homeboys that were hooked up with the Nunotarasa that were there. That's a prison gang tied to the NF. There was a lot of dropouts that were there, so we had to do. They had to remove some of them. And then I was there for the next shift. They told on me right before I was gonna do this, dude, and I got rolled up to the hole. I stood there for the remainder of my time.
What does that mean? What does that mean, the whole?
So I go to the lockdown as ADSEG. So it's a whole like it's a prison within a prison, and
Oh,
you're 23 hours in your cell. We get 1 hour every other day. We had yard, so the other day, shower. Every other day you go to the yard, and that's where they have to fine comb. They find out who and what's what. So yeah, if guys ain't with it, we remove them, we hit them, and so the whole time I was there, I was preparing for what was ahead. I was studying the format, the bond, the 14 bonds, and the formats, which is what they teach you when you're gonna make that extra step to become something more than an average gang member. And
okay.
I had 4 confidential informants telling on me that I was a active member in that. So they pretty much validated me without me even actually becoming one. So I got released right before I got my validation packet and sent to Pelican Bay. And they were surprised that I got released. They didn't know my release date was that time. I got out and, $200 gate money. All the young homies are looking up to me getting out. And another homeboy got out right after me, and we just started partying. That's all we could do. There's really nothing going on in the hood. You don't have no job skill. You don't have nobody that has a job that's willing to take you under their wing
Yeah.
like times are now. So there was nothing else to do but start doing what we know best. So
Pick up where you left off, basically.
yeah, pick up where we left off. And then so there I am tripping on, what's going on around me. There's all these drug dealers on our street. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, if I jack one of these fools, who are they gonna call? They ain't gonna call nobody. Who are they gonna call the cops? So I was like tempted to hit some of these guys, and I'll be doing two birds with one stone. I take their money and I clean the neighborhood at the same time. So I was like, doing two birds with one stone. But then I seen a brother from the church, and I asked him, I go, man, bro, you need to pray for me, man, that I get a job, because I told him what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you can't be like that no more. I go, hey, well, man, I have no way of surviving. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be the breadwinner. So then he prays for me, and then that night, him and his wife come over, and they gave us like 4 big old bags of groceries. And he gives me like $50, and he goes, hey, man, he goes, I thought about it. He goes, man, here I am. I got a job, and you come to me, and you're telling me your struggles, man. So who am I to know what I know?
Right.
And here I am trying to tell you, like, hey, God is able. But if I leave you in that situation, what kind of a God do we serve? You know what I mean? So he goes, so I came back, and I talked to my wife, and then we came and blessed you guys so that you don't do what you're going to do.
Right. Right.
So he prayed for me. And next thing you know, like 2 days later, I got a job. I got a job at a moving company.
Mm-hmm.
And me being excited, not having a job before, I was working like 18, 23-hour days.
Oh my
I was
God.
happy just working.
Yeah.
And then something happened at the house because I was working 20 hours, and we got in a big old thing. So I kind of like, I fell off. I backslid.
So your wife was upset that you were working so much, and
Yeah, so what happened was I started getting caught up with the fellas at the job and started doing drugs. Because there's
oh,
one thing about moving companies, there's always a lot of drugs in those type of work ethnic areas. Because you figure all the hours, right? You got to keep up with the hours. So man, I just started partying. Backslid for a little bit. I was backslid for, I would say, like 2.5 weeks.
okay.
And then I went back to the men's home for a little tune-up. I went back. I think I should have probably like stood in a home a little bit more, but we tried to make things work. But it was a rough road for that moment and for the next 15 years. So like I would be good in church, and then she would go on a women's retreat, and that would be my time to let my hair down. I'd go party with the homies, and that was my MO for a little bit. And then finally, I guess I got it out of my system, right? And I was doing cool. I was working for a van line company for like 20 something years.
Whoa.
I was man, making good money. Only thing is, when you work a lot of hours and you have kids, you miss out on all your kid
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
like
you
'cause
do. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just thinking I'm doing what's right, trying to pay the bills and all that, but I missed out a lot of my kid stuff because of the work. And
Yeah.
and one thing about a job like that, they don't care about your other life. They just want your life to be that life.
Right.
I mean, I regret a lot of years that I did miss out on a lot of my kid stuff because I just put the job first. So then my late wife, she ends up getting sick, and she ends up passing in 2019.
Oh gosh.
And I was still going to church, still working. I had 7 kids, a grandkid, and they're all dealing with the deaf differently. They're all acting out, doing their thing. So I got tired. I just said, you know what, man, why can't I have a beer? You
Yeah.
know? And that's how it started, man. That one beer led to a quarter of dope. And from that went all hell for like 2.5 years. I was just out there running amok, tied up with guns, explosives, dope. And then I met Maria. Me and Maria got together. She was a widow. I was a widow. So we knew how that loneliness comes into play, right? So her husband had passed a year after mine. When we got together, I told her, like, hey, this is what I'm about. I laid all my cards on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look, man, if you're cool with it, cool. If not, then this is what I'm about. I'm not gonna hide who I am. She took me for what I am. If you met Maria, she'll tell you that she knew that I had a good heart, regardless if I was in my addiction. She saw that I still had a good heart, so she took me for my heart. That she knew that somewhere in there was still goodness in me, and if she was to be she'd be the one to find it. That's her job. She would find it. So she's still with me, you know. And we're both drinking. She did a little part of her day, her little drug thing,
Hmm.
but I told her you can't get in mine because mine was different. Crystal meth has some claws that get so deep into you that you can't break away that easily. And I already knew that I was very deeply hooked into it.
So your personality from the stories that you've told me, you're like all in. You're not a halfway, oh, I'll try this. You're like diving in
Yeah,
100% with
yeah, I
whatever
got
you
it
do.
full force.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
so I was like every day, I had two of my kids are living there with me, and I exposed them to some bad stuff that I had no business exposing them to. For the most part, I sheltered them because at every chance I got, I'd send them over to their older siblings' house, and I would leave them over there because there was just no telling what's going to take place at my house. Like I had so many guns coming through my house, I had drugs. Like Maria will tell you, when she first got there with me, she thought I was a connection. That's how much drugs I had. That was just my personal use. It's like anybody that came to my house, they would just drop off a big old pile of dope. Everybody would just come over, smoking their dope, kicking down dope. I'd have dope. We'd just be splitting firewood in the backyard. I have projects everywhere. My house was a tweaker's paradise. Like anybody that wanted to do anything was there. We never judged each other. It's weird because like I have a lot of friends that do different drugs, and for some reason they want to categorize people that do meth. Like they put us like we're like the worst of the worst, and I'm like, dude, the drugs you're doing is killing you, just like the drugs that I'm doing is killing me. Yeah, my main drug of choice was crystal meth and drinking. I drink cases and cases a day. Maria could tell you what she saw, what I did on the normal. It's crazy that I'm still here because, and then I even think like even with all the COVID going on,
Yeah.
like I ran to so many people. I had contact with hundreds of people on a weekly basis, and I never caught it.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
thinking because of crystal meth probably had a big part of it. Like it
Oh God.
somehow I was medicated, so
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
like I was immune to the dope. I mean, I was immune to the
To
COVID
the,
because
yeah,
I don't know. That's the only thing I could come up with as to why I didn't catch it was somehow maybe the crystal meth was like a big
protection
protective
from it.
shield over me or
Oh my
something. I don't know.
gosh.
It's crazy.
We're not advocating that. Okay, so your kids, some of them are with you. You're going off the deep end again. So then what happens?
Like eventually the party comes to an end.
Yeah.
So May 22nd, 2022, we were supposed to go to the flea market with my older kids, but Maria said I fell asleep, and that's a rare thing for me to do is sleep. So she let me sleep in. And next, I remember being woken up by her and my daughter, my grandson, are crying, and they're like, "They're here, they're here." I'm like, "Who's here? Who's here?" "They're here, they're here." I'm like, "Who?" And I had camera systems set up all around my house.
Yeah.
So Maria goes, "Look, the cops are here." And I look at my screen, and I'm like, "Oh, damn." They had my house surrounded. They had the armored Bearcat truck.
Oh
They
my
were
gosh.
they were busting flash grenades into my windows, telling everybody to come out. What I didn't know was one of my roommates, he failed to tell everybody that he had did a high-speed chase
Oh gosh.
with Sounds APD a week and a half prior and didn't say anything. Didn't tell us, because I would have told him like, "Hey, that's it. Gotta go. Close house." So they had my house being surveillance for a week and a half. And they had a speed trailers set up in front of my house. A lot of people speeded on my block, and I had a
Yeah.
personal campaign against these people. So
Yeah.
I was happy that they set up a trailer finally, and I was like, "Yeah." Well, what I didn't know was they had a camera mounted on that trailer watching my house the whole time. So they raided my house. What I also didn't know was the people that they originally came for, they had already had them handcuffed in a car. So I held them off for 45 minutes. I was hiding other things that they didn't find, but somebody else found. And I was just pounding beers because I figured it was going to be a long time since I had another beer. I was just pounding, trying to hide. And I heard the drone flying over my house, and they got me on video chucking pieces of sawed off shotgun barrels over the fence. And man, they have all this on my case. I wasn't able to see it, but I heard from my attorney like what they showed. And yeah, so there I am. I'm going to Elmwood And I'm surprised because I'm thinking like the feds are gonna swoop me up because I got caught with a pipe bomb, I got caught with ghost gun, ammo, sawed-off shotguns, zip guns. Man, I had like 18 charges. They got me for transporting explosives. But here I am. I think I was like 50. I think I was 50. There I am going in there, Elmwood. I had been out of the system 26 and a half years before I went back.
Whoa.
And so there I am going in there. And then they asked me how much I drank. And I go, man, I drink like about over a case a day. They're like, what? I go, yeah, I drink about a case a day, if more. And then the crystal meth. So they gave me this little pill, right? I don't know what this pill was, but man, I tell you what, that was a miracle pill because I was scared because everybody told me like all the dope that I did, like if I were to stop cold turkey, I would die. So I
Yeah.
was like tripping, right? So whatever that little pill was, it helped me transition where I didn't kick, I didn't go through withdrawals. I just transitioned smoothly in. I got all my sleep on, right? Got my lockdown. Maria came to visit me, and she's like, and then I was not even tripping, like thinking like, because with the new charges that came on after the fact, one of my Codys had blew his hand off.
Oh,
And I went to go clean out his garage, so they had us on surveillance cameras from all the neighbors. There was a point where I had to tell Maria to quit visiting me and quit accepting calls because I didn't know if they're going to try to pin her on one of my cases. And like she even had to go tell her daughters like in case something happens. And so I haven't even met her daughters, right? So what kind of impression is that? Like,
oh,
dang man,
no.
I'm gonna get your mom caught up with me. And so I was like, dang. So everything worked out cool where I was able to just take the full rap, and
Yeah.
my attorney was able to point that out. Prior to all this, when I was in Creek in the Hole, the homeboys would send us to the law library to study, right? And
Okay.
I'm like, I ain't gonna be no damn lawyer, like go to law library, but it's mandatory. They make you go because they want us to learn about the laws, like how to fight the system while we're in there, right? So they told me, look up the Romero Hearing Act. And I'm like, who in the hell is the Romero Hearing Act? Not realizing that in a full circle, there I would be in a Romero hearing is what saved my butt.
At 50 years old instead
Yeah.
of, yeah, at 50 years
Yeah,
old.
so
Okay.
here I am, the Romero hearing, and then what I found out recently was that you're only entitled to use a Romero hearing one time in a lifetime. I just found that out not too long ago through one of the AJ classes I'm taking.
Oh, okay.
And plus you have to be out for X amount of time and you have to be like, you're doing cool and then all of a sudden a life altering change, like kind of like your podcast, right? Life altering change
Yeah,
comes in
yeah.
life, right? Years later. So there I am, the Romero hearing. I benefit from it. It helps strike my prior prison strike. And then
Okay.
because I was out for all these years, and even though I was doing bad, there was good things I was doing for the community. So I had a lot of good letters written for me. I had my former juvenile hall probation officer write a letter for me. He knew the judge. Like a lot of things went in favor. A lot of people were praying for me.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Maria, she was there with me from thick and thin, from the beginning all the way to the end. She accepted all my calls. We wrote letters. She visited me every weekend, except two times I was sick and I couldn't go to the visiting. It was just crazy. Like even in the court, one time that one of the sheriffs told me and her that we could kiss, and like he goes, "Go ahead, man." And I was like tripping out, like I didn't know what to do. Like what the heck, like because it's a hit and miss with the cops, man. Like some of them are cool and some of them are straight a-holes, man. So like they were like, "Hey, is your old man looking at life or something?" Because we're like going to court for like 2 years, and they didn't tell me the whole time I was down, like what I was looking at, how much time until I'd say like the very end. They tell me finally I'm gonna get out. Yeah, man. So I get out, and so I lost a house in San Jose, and
Uh-huh.
Maria was able to get whatever she could out of my house. Whatever I had represented something that I was really a big part of, and I was a Hell's Angel supporter. So I had all this support gear, like shirts, hats, sweaters, you name it. I had personal gifts that were made for me by members. Like I was really deeply involved in a lot of circles. And I still partied a little bit. When I first got out, I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
But then here I am attending these healing circles, and a lot of the guys are from AA, background.
Right.
So I can't tell them, like, yeah, I had a beer day, because it might be a trigger for them. I could probably do it, and I was able to do it for the most part. But I was like, man, I felt like a hypocrite. I can't share everything because these guys might get triggered and go get a beer thinking they could have it, and then they don't, and they go all out.
Can you explain, Mario, what a healing circle is? Can you tell me about that?
Yes, when I was in RCP in Elmwood, one of the instructors, Debbie, and actually there was two instructors, Debbie and Vanessa Ashford, they work at Carry Division, and they told me about a men's healing circle they're trying to get up going, but it was like slow beginnings. So she told me, hey, when you get out, and since I was going to move to Gilroy anyways, they say, hey, come over and visit Carry Division, and we'll get you plugged into these circles. So
Okay.
I go, all right. And like, again, I was just reaching for straws, trying to stay active, trying to stay positive. So like little by little, all the drinking left me and I just quit drinking. And then the smoking cigarettes, I was smoking Camel non-filters, Mario was smoking Marble Lights.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like buying 2 packs a week each, right? That's
Right.
expensive.
Right.
So then I told her, well, let's meet each other halfway. Let's buy Camel 99s and you have the filter and I'll tear the filter off mine. Finally, I just quit altogether. And then
Yeah.
she was on the puff bars. She eventually got off the puff bars. So just through the power of prayer and attending healing circles, Bible studies, I was able to get off everything altogether. So with the healing circle, I was attending one every Monday and Wednesday. And then 6 months later, they go, hey, man, how do you think about spreading your wings and becoming a circle keeper?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I started becoming a circle keeper. I run one Monday and Tuesday, but now that our Carry Division is closing, we're still gonna have it, because even if I'm not gonna get paid for it, it's the people, right?
Right. And so what do you do? Can you tell me about the process a little bit? Like what?
Yeah. So the healing circle is like we have a circle of chairs. I have a centerpiece. And I have this wooden statue of a guy. He looks like he's a traveling man. Like
Okay.
he's barefoot. He's traveling, right? And
Yeah.
that's how I figure like that's how we are in life. We're traveling in life. You're on a journey and you're just going through life. In a healing circle, mine's called healing and transformation. It's a healing process. A lot of the guys in my circle have lost their significant other or their son or daughter. So we all have a common pain that we could relate to and identify with. And then, so you have a talking piece, and the person that holds that talking piece has the floor. And
Okay.
so there's no side talking, there's no cross talking. If you have a cell phone, we turn your phone on silent. If it's really important, take it outside the circle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that person just shares. He shares what's going on with their life for that day, what happened the weekend before. It could be a good thing, because believe it or not, sometimes people don't even have people in their life to share good things with.
Right.
So we just create like a little extended family. And if you want feedback, you tell the people you want feedback, so everybody could throw like a little feedback, like maybe something that they had experienced similar, and this is
Yeah.
what they did. Like you're not gonna tell a person how to live their life. You're just gonna offer an experience that they may have gone through, and that they can share and learn. And then also it creates a stronger connection between those two because they can relate more with each other, and then they create a friendship outside the circle. And it's just men, like they have women's circles, they have different circles. There's like 5 different circles that they have, and that they all came from National Pilot Network. And that's another thing that I've been fortunate to get some training in. I got another training coming up in June, and we did an Indian sweat lodge build last Saturday,
Oh,
and we are
wow.
able to build it, and we sweated in it. It was cool. Yeah, just a lot of cool things. And from the first training, I met some people that work in the probation department at James Ranch.
Uh-huh.
So June 2nd, I'm going into the James Ranch to be a guest speaker, where they were only going to have me do a Zoom meeting, but because I knew people from the training, I reached out to them. I said, hey, I need a
Wow.
favor, man. Can you pull some juice card for me? So they made some phone calls. Like, all right, you're going to come in as a guest speaker. So I'm hoping that this one-time thing will become, like, if they're happy and they can trust me, then probably I can go the rest of the Tuesdays on June. But
Yeah.
those are some of the extra things that have additionally happened in my life since the last time we talked.
That's exactly how we started this conversation, right? You're open to the opportunities that are going to come your way, and you have such an open mind. And we didn't talk about a lot of the stories that you told me before, and it was interesting because we had that conversation, and then you sent me that picture of you as a young man. And I don't know why it hit me so hard, but seeing you as a young man, a lot of my teaching career has been with young men that look and are in the same situation that you were. Your face, even though I didn't know you as a young man, was very familiar. And so you're,
They said I didn't have all gray hair and glasses.
yeah, but I can see that young boy. And when I see that, I think, my God, this kid, had he grown up in a different atmosphere, your life would have, not that I mean, I think you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Don't get me wrong. We can't go back and do things, but just sometimes the environment that we're born into, it moves us in certain places. And to see you as a young man and what you're doing now, this is what I really think your destiny was. It wasn't to go to prison. It wasn't that
Yeah.
what you grew
Like
up
even
thinking.
Maria and my godmother, they talk amongst each other and they said like, man, can you imagine if Mario would have went to college before? Like, where would I be at now?
Yeah.
Because like even for one of my testing, they sent me to this AEC testing to see if I needed additional help with time for my test. Turned out my IQ was 123. And I'm like, dang, all the dope I did and everything, like, man, that's a miracle, right? And then, like, even my teacher, the one that gave me the test, he goes, Mario, I think you needed to hear that because, man, your IQ is 123. And so he said that what he got out of me was that I adapt to my surroundings. And I'm like, man, that's my whole life. I always adapted to even when things would look crazy, I always made a joke about it and just get everybody like, hey, it's not all that bad, bro. Like, come on, we're gonna get through this, man. We've been up against worse, come on. And that's how I am. I mean, this is a walk in the park, man. This ain't nothing,
Exactly.
man. And it just helps other people think like, come on, bro. Like, how many times should we have been dead? And they're all, how many times, And they're like, and we're still here. I go, man, that's only because there's something meant for us to do. Like, we haven't got there yet. And if the day we find out, is the day we check out, man, and then we know we accomplished everything we're supposed to do. And that's the way I look at it. Even like where I'm at now, like all the stuff that coming my way, and then I went to one of my friends' graduation a couple weeks ago. It was for a peer mentor for the reentry center in San Jose, and I was like, how do you become part of that? And so I went to San Jose City Community College. I got my number. I sent it in. I'm going to start Wednesday, the second and
Congratulations.
third Wednesday of August. It's a year-long program. And so every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m., I'll be going to San Jose Reentry Center, learning on this peer mentor program. And then a year from now, I'll graduate. And then I'll get a
Congratulations.
certificate.
Oh my
Yeah, so
gosh.
like it's
Good for
cool, man.
you.
Just like all these things. And even like for the cab meeting, we went to San Jose. Coming out, there's like four sheriffs there. Two of them I knew from Elmwood from the time I was down there, but there was a sergeant, and there was this one sheriff just looking at us sideways, man. Like, and he wasn't even in uniform, but he was just looking at us like stupidly, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, dude, what's your reason to look at us like that? Like, obviously, we're doing something right if we're on this side of the fence
Exactly.
coming in the building, right?
Exactly.
So we're
Yeah.
no threat. But why that like that was unnecessary, man, for him to be looking at us like that. So to pop his bubble, I went right in front of him, reached my arm over the counter, and there's one officer, Mohammed, like, "What's up, Mohammed?" He goes, "Hey, Mario." He gave me a big old shake. Hey, what's going on, bro? Hey, I'm doing cool, bro. I'm coming to the end of my finals. I'm doing cool. And he's, "Oh, that's what's up, Mario. I'm happy." And the sergeant looks at me, smiling. It blew that cop's face, right? He's just looking at me like, "What?" And I just did that purposely to show him, like, man, don't judge a book by its cover, man. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know, we're no longer a threat.
Right.
We're here trying to build that community, but people like you're in the wrong business, man. If you're coming to work dishing that out,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong business. You don't belong in that job.
I agree. And I think what people don't really understand is there's reasons for gangs to exist. The reason is survival, and the reason is to improve your life, right? Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants their lives to be better for their kids, to grow, to have someone to love, like everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, but there's different acceptable ways of getting that. And so,
Even like when I was growing up in the hood, like we didn't see anything wrong with what we're doing. We're just doing what was taught to us to do. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah.
And then, but years later, or even like when I was in my addiction, like I was just like, it was crazy what I was thinking back then. But to be where I'm at now is like, it's a miracle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I run into homeboys all the time. When I be going to reentry center lately, I run into homeboys I was locked up with, and like, hey, OG, what's up, bro? And I'm like, hey, man. And we connect. I send them my podcast, send them like all the things I'm doing. And I encourage them. I go, hey, bro, come on, man, get with the higher education. And now they're doing it. And they're like, hey, OG, thank you for being encouragement, man. And they tell me, yeah, I'm just staying out of the way. And I go, hey, bro, it's okay to stay out of the way, bro. I tell them, hey, bro, all the stuff you did for the homies, hey, you did it. But now it's your time. It's your turn to benefit from it. But how are you going to benefit? You're going to benefit by doing good. You can't benefit for doing bad. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the same situation with more time and worst case, you know. So I'm like, man, enough is enough. When I got rid of all my support gear and all that, that was a big step. That was something I never thought I'd ever be able to do.
Right.
But there I was. I was able to do it. And I still see them. I say hi, you know, I give them hugs, shake their hand. But I'm just on a different trip now, you know, and they know it. Like I share with them like all the stuff I'm doing in school, all the stuff I'm doing with the healing circles, and they're just like, okay, can't call him no more. And you know, and if I've had people call on me the 23rd, I've been out 2 years. So prior, I've had 4 people call me or come over
Wow.
asking me for a favor. And I'm thinking to myself, didn't this dude just hear anything or see anything that I've been doing? Like,
Right.
did it register in this dude that I'm not about that life no more? Like, what the hell? I even had cousins calling me for favors. I'm like, hey, I can't do that no more, man. I'm not about that life. Oh, Primo, come on. I go, nah, man, I'm not about that, man. I go, I'm sorry. I can't even suggest or refer you in a direction that way because I do not want any risk of something coming back and biting me in the butt later on down the line. I go, I'm cool. I just can't do it. And not to mention that's not me no more. I'm not about that no more. And for me, that's the biggest thing that I have come to realize is like I know I can't get caught up in that no more. I cannot play not even fathom the thought of going that route because the minute I do, then I'm already screwed. I even hear people like they start talking all that, right? I'm like, I know what I'm about. I know what I was about, and I know what I'm about now. And I'm happy with where I'm at and who I am today. And Maria, like, she always tells me, shit, you ain't going back. Hell no, you ain't going back. But she even trips out sometimes when the people that come and ask for something like that. It hurts her too because she's like, wouldn't they rather have you out? It hurts her to see that, but then it opens her eyes what to look for.
Yeah, they're on a different journey than you are right now.
Yeah.
And you want to be a role model for people. That's the impression I'm getting in wanting to be in leadership position. And from the stories that you've told me, you honed your leadership skills in places that most of us don't want to be, but you've taken that skill that you learned right on the street and locked up. You've taken those skills that you learned and now you're using them to be a leader in your community. And not everybody's going to want you on that journey or they're not on that journey too. But for me, I probably know more just having taught in schools that, you know, a lot of my students lived in similar situations. So I'm a little familiar, but most people listening to this podcast are familiar with really none of it.
Hey, but you know what? It's okay if they, it's okay. Like you didn't miss out on nothing, right? You know what I mean? Like if you weren't about the life, then you didn't miss out on anything. Like I have an older gentleman. He's a brother from one of the Bible studies I attend,
Uh-huh.
and we talk about like stuff we've done, and he's like, man, what is that? He goes, I never got into it. I go, hey, brother Gene, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Don't trip. Like just let our stories tell you that don't trip. You're good. And he starts laughing. And that's why I tell people, if you weren't about that life, then don't worry about it. You had to been about it to be in it. Otherwise, it ain't gonna benefit. You're not benefiting nothing from it. I mean, it benefited me for the minute when I was in it because the places I was at, it helped me survive, helped me get by, helped me just to be aware, and it taught me like a lot of life skills, right?
Yeah, it did.
Survival skill that taught me like just to be aware of my surroundings. Some things never die. Me and Maria, we could go to a restaurant and I automatically know who's in that restaurant. It just is natural instinct to me. Me and her, we could watch YouTube videos about prison and all that. And she'd be like, what the hell? And she'd be like, all chill. What? Nah, man, it's just the way it is. We just the way, we're just on two different pages, right? But when she was with me during this time I was locked up, this was the first time she ever been with somebody like me. So this was all learning experience for her. And so we couldn't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I told her, nah, man, this is just the way it is in here. I got to do it. You don't got to do nothing. No, you don't understand. This is it, And so it was hard for her to comprehend what I was trying to get at her. But she had a friend that just got out doing like, man, I want to say 33 years or something. And he's out and he's having a hard time transitioning. It's kind of hard to try to explain to someone that don't know it. I don't knock your audience if they don't know, they don't know. I mean, it wasn't meant for them to know. But if they're curious, if they want to look into it, there's plenty of books out there. There's all these podcasts. And like even with the podcast, there's a lot of guys out there that have podcasts and these guys are dropouts. They tell all this other side of the story. Okay, for the most part, yeah, maybe somewhere down the line, some of that is true. Maybe it did take place because, like I said, a lot of people get tired. You know,
Yeah.
they're getting older now. Life changes. They come out and they meet someone. They have kids. They start getting a taste of life other than that life, and they see a different side of it. And that was like for me when I went back after being out all these years, then to go back, and then the drugs wearing off and the alcohol wearing off, and then being an OG in my mind, I want to get in there and get busy with all of them, and them having to tell me, "No, OG, you got to kick back. This is we're here. We're nah, bro. Let me. No, 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 no. You need to kick back, bro." And then for one of them to finally pull me aside and explaining to me why I couldn't get involved no more is because they had to answer up for an OG getting hit on it or getting
Oh.
involved. We're like the last resort of defense. And had he not explained that to me, I was just like, okay, all right, I accept it. You know,
You're old. You're old.
yeah, but
That's
I
what
was
they
like,
were
hey, but I
telling
was
you.
right in the front line of the OGs, all ready to go with it. And then Maria would be like, man, you need to stay out of trouble. And I'll be like, all right, babe, hang up the phone. And like, bam, right there, something's gonna go
Oh my
down. And I'll be like, right,
Yeah, so you are like a lot of my audience where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm old. I got to change. I got to figure something else out because for me it was teaching. I just can't do it anymore. They need a younger teacher. They need somebody that's understanding what they're saying or all the technology.
even being in there, like a lot of the younger generation gang members, they say the N word a lot. They sag their pants.
Yeah.
That was not my era, man. Like when they were saying that to me in there, I say, "Hey, check this out, homie. I ain't black. You ain't black. Don't call me that." And they were like, "Hey, bro, that's just the way we talk." Nah, that's the way you guys talk. That ain't the way we talk. And finally, I got to the point. I go, "Look, you call me it 2 times in a row now, homie. Third time's the charm. I'm gonna sock you in your mouth, bro. Hey, OG, you can't be doing all that." And then finally, they implemented in the rules. Say, "Hey, from here on out, no one says the N word." And I was like, "Cool." Now, did it stick after I left? I don't know, but while I was there, if I made a little dent of impression to make some of that stop, then I'm cool. I'm cool with what I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think this is going to be the most different interview that I will have in all the interviews, but it doesn't matter what world you're in. You could be on the streets of San Jose, you could be locked up, you could be living at the golf course, right? Like some rich, fancy place. But if you don't start adapting to, well, just to life right now, like life is a little crazy, the world's a little crazy.
Man, there's all kinds of like fear, right? Fear's everywhere. There's fear in so many levels, but that's why we need to come together as a community and look out for each other.
I love what you're doing, and I'm really proud of your commitment to your community and to helping people because when it comes down to it, especially at this age, you know, well, you're a little younger than me, but I mean, I have a good life. I have a house. I have everything I need. And I think at this age, what gives me the most joy is to help other people or to at least hear other people's stories and listen to how they adapted to change, how they cope with difficult things. And I love what you're doing because you are a role model for people. I think that's so important, especially in your community with people that are coming out. Like you said, like you came out, you had no job skills, you couldn't drive a car. There are all these things that when you're kind of in a small world that you need help adapting to the larger world, right? And you need a lot of resources to stay on that path. It's not easy. Even somebody trying to just stay sober, it's so hard.
Yeah, especially if they're unhoused or they don't if they don't have the basic fundamentals that we have. Like I'm blessed, me and Maria, we have our little spot, but it's us, it's ours. And even when I got out, she supported me financially, she supported me spiritually, emotionally. She told me, "You want to do school? Come on, let's do it." And to have a peace of mind knowing that I can attend and being able that I have somewhere to call our own,
Yeah,
it makes all the difference. Now, for someone that doesn't have that, and they're just trying to get by and they're trying to figure out where they're going to eat, where they're going to sleep, man, there's a lot going against them. And then all the reason more to throw in the towel. And it's the
exactly.
saddest part is like, even if you don't have a job, some way, somehow, you'll get your alcohol, you'll get your drug. A person will make it happen to stay medicated
Yes,
until it becomes a problem where they can't support their habit. Then they go to the extreme measures of supporting their habit. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. If you're not in their shoes or you never been in their shoes and you really can't judge, especially when someone's trying to stay straight, it's like fasting food. If you ever have to fast your food, all of a sudden everybody wants to treat you out to eat. And before it wasn't like that. You're like, when you're eating normally, it, everybody's making you pay for your own stuff. But when you fast, all of a sudden everyone treats you out to eat, and you're like, what? The same thing with drugs. The minute you stop doing everything, all of a sudden everybody wants to treat you. Everything's fronted. It's like in anything in life, man. Everything, whenever you're trying to strive for better, all of a sudden everything's free again.
Well, I really appreciate you talking to me, Mario, again for the second time. I appreciate your openness and willing to share your most difficult times. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. And you're making this part of your world a better place for people. And there's nothing more admirable than that. Nothing. And I know those organizations, either you're volunteering or you're getting paid very little. People work for nonprofits. They don't get rich. Everything's really basic. So I know that you're spending all this time and energy and spending of yourself, and you're not getting rich from that stuff. Not with money, maybe spiritually, but it's...
Yeah, I think we all benefit, and that God comes through. He blesses me in different areas. So that's like fulfilling. The benefit, the outcome is a fulfillment, even if it's a small dent. It's the ripple effect, even if it's a little splash, but the outcome is a ripple that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? That's the coolness of it. And like I said, like seeing that one sheriff, like looking at me sideways, when I start to attend that class over there, he's going to see me once a week. Once a week. I'm going to kill him with kindness. I'm going to smile. Before you know it, we're going to be on first name basis. Before you know it, we'll be shaking hands. Before you know it, we'll be hugging.
I'm not betting against you, that's for sure.
However long it takes in that year of time, something's going to come positive out of it.
Good for you. I think that's so awesome. And I'm so glad to have met you. And I just want to thank you again for coming on. And hopefully you and I will work on a project together, because I think you have a lot more to give. I really do.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, man.
Yeah,
See, we'll get something going and get...
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Gen X TrustFall. My immense gratitude to Mario Guerra for sharing his story and for showing me what transformation looks like. I look forward to the positive changes he will bring to his community. If you or a loved one is in need of help, please reach out to the resources listed in the show notes and website. There is help available, and there is always hope for addiction recovery. If you liked this episode or have a suggestion for a potential guest, check out our website at genxtrustfall.com for additional notes on each episode. Gen X TrustFall is produced by me and the recording master, Ryan Loomis, at Double Banger Studio. Music by Ryan and Sam. Website and advisory by Amy Clifford.